Hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry I only speak English as a product of the dreadful British education system. And Tom, thank you very much for joining us as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
I want to dive straight in and ask my first question, because although we know each other, we've actually never talked about many of the things that we're going to talk about today. And the first question I want to ask you, which is something I ask a lot of people, is how did you first become interested in fashion? Can you recall your kind of earliest memory?
I think the typical answer is, oh, I saw a dress in my mom's closet, which was a Moschino dress. But I recently did an interview with Vive la Fête, and I realized again that the first time I went to their concert, that really showed me what styling was. How El Spino dressed, how she just taped her boobs and was punk. And I think that was the first, like, oh, you can do more things with this? I think that was my first introduction into it's not only what you see at H&M.
And it's not only clothes, in a sense, it's how they're worn and how you wear them.
It's a vision. Yeah, it's a dream world that you create for a moment, So yeah.
And do you think that, thinking of that, was that kind of an introduction to the idea of styling and the idea of a stylist for you?
I didn't know what a stylist was. And I became one by accident. I studied at the academy here, photography. That didn't work out.
You were here for 3 months, I think. Is that right?
I think 3 months, yeah. I did photography. They said I was too stylized. There we go. And then we moved to London. I always had friends who were in the fashion part of the academy. So it started to brew. I knew I wanted to do something with fashion. I didn't know what. And then I moved to London, but I was too late to sign up for I wanted to do the foundation year at CSM. But I had to wait a year because I was...
Oh, you were too late in the physical year, not in terms of age.
Sign in.
Yeah.
And then a friend said, oh, there's a stylist looking for an assistant. I was like, okay, oh yeah, I'll try that. And yeah, that was Nicola Formichetti. And yeah.
So was that when Nicola was at Dazed and Confused, or was it before?
It was on the brink. He was kind of still with Dazed. He went to Mugler. My first job was the telephone music video with Gaga. So it was around that time. So it was like, for him as well, a big shift in his career. And,
it's kind of an amazing first thing to do, that telephone video.
It was...
a baptism of fire?
But I just had to do the returns and the pickups. So, and the call-ins. So I didn't have anything creatively involved with that. But it was in Flemish we say vuurdoop. It was like I got pushed in. I was like, you have to fix it. You're like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I had like 2 weeks to like learn everything, and I think I did.
And I guess you, in a way, a lot of those things, I think, with styling, and I think with other disciplines within fashion, you have to experience it to learn it, which is a cliche. But you can go through school and learn things for years, and then you end up learning more in kind of 3 months, 6 months, actually working than you could possibly have learned before.
Yeah, I think experience is very important. That's how I learned everything. I'm very grateful to all the stylists I worked with, like Katie England, Alistair Mackey, Jay Massacre, Anna Trevelyan. Like I've tried different, who have different styles too, so I could see the different ways of working. I'm not against school. I think school is good for some people. It wasn't good for me. But I think as a stylist, experience is the biggest key to learn how the trade really works. It's not just mood boards. It's so much more.
It's going back to that idea of education as well. You said something interesting to me, which was that although you were there for a short period of time, you did make connections that really kind of fed you creatively, and something that you still kind of feel connected to people that you met there.
You mean at the academy?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm still connected to Antwerp. I moved back here in 2019, I think. There's so much creativity here, but in different aspects. It's so inspiring. You have the designers, you have the academy, you have the teachers, you have the Antwerp 6, you have everyone who came after that. You have brilliant musicians, you have brilliant artists. It's a really small city with a lot of things happening. Even when you just walk around, especially here, around the streets, like, you see the cathedral and you're like, even this building, it's...
Do you think it also gives you a different, like a different perspective or kind of a USP compared to other people who are based in fashion capitals? Do you think you have a different outlook on fashion because you're based here?
Yeah, 100%. I think because I'm mostly a celebrity stylist. Usually a celebrity stylist lives in LA.
Yeah.
I refuse.
Antwerp is quite different to LA.
Antwerp is very different from LA, and I think that makes me different from those other stylists. If I'm in LA too long, then I'll be like, oh, maybe I should do Botox during lunch. And I'm like, wait, no, I don't want to. Huh? Because you go into that world.
Yeah.
So I need to go out of that world, and then I take the things I see here, and I bring it back there. And I think that makes me different from other really big celebrity stylists.
And I guess it's also why people seek you out, because when thinking of celebrity stylists, it is, I don't think there are as many as there are fashion stylists, but there are a lot of celebrity stylists, and they work with, each celebrity stylist kind of works with a number of different clients. And as you said, a lot of them are based over there and have a particular perspective, a particular outlook, whereas you feel quite distinct and quite different being based here.
Yeah, I think for me it's important. I always do a Zoom meeting or a in-person meeting, and even if you're very big, if there's no click, I'm not the right guy for you. There needs to be a connection. I want it to be personal. I don't want people to come to me and be like, oh, I want to be the new Lady Gaga. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
Then,
You're not interested in that.
No, if that's not your DNA, then why should I? No, I'm not going to dress you like my other client.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing, styling. It's about elevating someone's personal projection to the world. And it's just what stylists do is just helping to do that.
Kind of facilitating and help. I think when you're working with an individual, certainly my experience with people is you're almost a sounding board of kind of bouncing ideas off with somebody, encouraging them, suggesting things. It's this idea never of kind of pushing somebody out of their comfort zone in a sense, or maybe challenging them, but it's never trying to make them into somebody they're not.
Yeah, in the end, for me the most important thing is I want my clients to feel good. I'll try to push them, but if they don't feel good on stage or on the red carpet, you'll see it.
Yeah.
You'll see it on the photos. You'll see it in the visuals. It's not going to work. But it's always nice to have discussions with, and we can fight. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes the other one's right, and then we even fight about that. Like, haha, I told you, which is fun too. It's a personal thing. So yeah.
You, as you said, you style individuals, but you also work on editorials, you consult with brands. And I wanted to ask, what are the similarities and the differences between those different strands of work? And do you find one more rewarding than another?
No, but I think I'm a person who's, I wouldn't say I get bored quickly, but I couldn't do one thing. So I need to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
My assistant always jokes. He's like, I'm like, oh, I have no work. And then he's like, you're doing like
17
20,
different things.
20 things in 1 week. Vincent, he's somewhere there. I think it's nice to see different perspectives in the industry, to try different things, learn different things. Say about jewelry, like when I started, I was like, I don't see the difference between a diamond and a Swarovski.
Yeah.
Now I do. And then you get to see that craftsmanship. It's the same with couture or ready-to-wear or young designer or the people who have the budget. But it's the craftsmanship. I had a talk with Ruth Hoban a while ago, and it was just after COVID, and she was like, "It's so nice to be on set again and feel the clothes again and see how it's made." And that's, it can look good on a photo, but it can be crap in real life, and the other way around as well.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, very important. Touching, feeling, and doing those different aspects, also to keep me inspired and not become a factory.
Yeah. Would you say you approach editorial when you're working with a magazine very differently to when you're working for an individual?
Yeah, totally. Well, it depends which magazine. I think the magazine world has changed a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times, for some publications, you get told what to do, and then I kind of feel like I'm just a dresser.
Yeah.
And then the brands are like, it has to be full look, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, well, what's the point? But then there's other magazines that it might cost you some money to do the editorial,
Yeah.
but you can create something that you stand behind and you love.
You feel proud of.
And yeah, and I think especially in London, when I started in 2010, I think, we didn't get paid.
I was going to say, I think a lot of people don't really know that. Talking about magazines, I certainly didn't when I started, to know that photographers would pump their money into it, stylists would pump their money into it. And it's great because it becomes, in a sense, it's the equivalent of a kind of student portfolio or something. It becomes a portfolio of work that then gets you the more restrictive, better paid work. But the whole idea is, at its best, magazine editorials let stylists, photographers, do something that they really creatively believe in without restrictions.
And to show your work, it's we say portfolio, but I remember when I moved back to Belgium in 2019, and then one of the first editorials I did here, and they were like, "What's your fee?" And I was like, "Wait, I'm getting paid for an editorial? Like, I don't have to put money into what?" So yeah, that's
No, that's very much it. As I said, you've worked with brands, and not only as a kind of consultant, you've also designed ranges with brands. You've worked on sunglasses with the label Kimono. And you also mentioned Nicola, and obviously when you started work with him, it was when he had been appointed creative director of Mugler at that time. And I think you're increasingly seeing this idea of stylists moving between different avenues and moving kind of out of pure styling and more into kind of design elements, leading brands, leading labels. Why do you think those kind of avenues are opening up to stylists now? And why do you think stylists are well placed?
I think because it used to be the photographers who were the You know, they would get the buyouts, the
Yeah.
big rates, and the stylist was just, you know, you show up, you do your job. I think what happened is celebrity culture and social media, and they know the stylists are
Yeah.
in connection to the people they need to, because people don't really buy magazines anymore, unfortunately.
Say
So
that to
I
me
think
as the fashion features director of a magazine, but that's fine.
no, but yeah, no, I still buy magazines. There's a really good magazine shop, IMS, around the corner.
But
I
no,
still go there.
it's true, and you know, and actually talking about it as a portfolio, I think that's the way we think about it. It's not. It's also not about. I think the way we work at another magazine, it's not about massive numbers. We know we're never going to have
Yeah.
millions in circulation. It's not about that. It's about making something that we believe in and that other
Exactly.
people connect to, and also then actually that can live online in a way and have a kind of egalitarianism. That's the way we try and look at
True.
things.
But the brands are looking at numbers and Instagram followers and TikTok followers
Yeah.
and likes and going viral and then selling out a certain bag or a shoe because someone wore it. And I think that's how stylists became more powerful.
Well, I
now.
think also it's definitely how celebrities, because celebrities are the people they look to get those numbers now
Yeah.
rather than magazines, and because social media gives every individual their own kind of autonomy in terms of a publishing platform.
Yeah.
It's then that kind of, you know,
Well-
the celebrity becomes the editor and you become the kind of fashion director
Yeah.
of that.
When I started, like it was all about magazines. Like Dazed was the one, and
Yeah.
that's where Nicola worked. No one wanted to loan to Lady Gaga. They were like, yeah, sorry, no. So we're like, oh, but we're doing a shoot for Dazed, and that's how we got the clothes. But
10 years later, it's completely flipped
it's
around.
Flipped around. But it was so different because back then, for celebrity people, it wasn't. That wasn't how brands put themselves out. It was Dazed. It was ID. It was
Yeah.
you know.
I think it's interesting talking about your work with Lady Gaga over that particular period because I think she's more than kind of a celebrity and her looks are more than just clothes. And I've talked weirdly a few times about this recently, both on the record and off.
And you talked with her.
I've not
For
talked
show-
with, I've not
for
talked
show
with her,
studio?
but I did. Yeah, I did, and that it was actually at that moment as well. When I spoke with her for Show Studio, it was at that moment when she was, you know, kind of clicking, and when everybody wanted to work with her. And I really think that she led the way in terms of these kind of multi-brand fashion pop music mashups, and it's kind of the next level on from, you know, Madonna and Jean-Paul Gaultier in the 90s. I think then you had Lady Gaga and all the looks that you and Nicola have worked with for her. And in a way, that kind of blazed the trail that is now, you know, when you look at something like Beyonce's Renaissance tour and all the looks being made for her and that kind of endless fashion reinvention with multiple different designers, it's incredibly impressive, but I do think that what you and Nicola did with Lady Gaga really led the way first.
Yeah, she was a pioneer in that. I truly believe that. I didn't realize that.
No, I didn't. I think at the time you don't realize, I mean, my confession is always that when I interviewed her for Show Studio, I hadn't heard any of the music, except for the one that was at the McQueen show, because that's the kind of person that I am, which was probably quite a good thing because I would have got incredibly intimidated if I'd realized just how incredibly famous she was to anyone who wasn't just listening to ABBA, as I do. But, you know, I think it's incredibly interesting that she really shifted the needle, and it's something we're still feeling now with people like, you know, Dua Lipa, Doja Cat, all of these people where fashion has become an incredibly important tool to their kind of creative expression. I really feel like Gaga was the one that sparked that off, at least this kind of millennium.
Yeah, but I do want to say something about that because also in Hollywood and in the music industry, there's a lot of fashion deals,
Yeah.
and you get a lot of money, and then you have to wear a certain brand for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I have the luck that I work for someone who refuses to do that. She'll wear Young Designer, she'll wear Valentino, she'll
Yeah.
wear. It needs to be right in that moment, even if they offer her like
Yeah.
crazy amounts of money. And she once said, she's like, I want to be the Switzerland of fashion. I want to be neutral. I don't want to be told what to wear.
Yeah.
So we'll wear what's good in that moment. If it's movie star Gaga, it's movie star Gaga. If it's jazz Gaga, it's jazz Gaga.
Yeah.
If it's pop star Gaga, we go there. But we're not gonna,
It's got to be right.
yeah. So,
You mentioned, well, we've both mentioned social media, and I wanted to talk with you a little bit about that because your rise to prominence really coincided with that, which is a real kind of fundamental evolution in media, I think. And it's this kind of democratization of opinion where there's a platform available to everyone to give you feedback on what they think. So the world is a critic, and everyone loves to critique celebrities. What is that kind of pressure like, and has that online audience changed at all the way you approach your work?
I don't give a shit. No. You don't have to like everything I do.
Yeah.
I don't like everything,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to critique. I think everyone should express themselves. But I never think about what the critics are going to say. And even sometimes, something goes wrong with the hair or with the makeup, and it's not exactly how I want it. But I see it, but then sometimes other people don't see it.
Yeah.
What I am more concerned about is if you make a statement, make the right one, make an educated one, and stand on the right side of history, political, fashion-wise, sustainability. I think that's more important than what someone is going to comment on my Instagram post.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's your opinion. Yeah, good for you. That doesn't mean I hate you or, it's like you can have your opinion. That's democracy, and that's
Yeah.
what I stand for. So for me,
guess
that's not a...
I was going to say the thing I find interesting is, and I think especially with Gaga, is how kind of dedicated the fans are, which is kind of an amazing thing because I was working on an exhibition for you guys, I was working on an exhibition in Shanghai, and Tom was really helpfully trying to get me a Lady Gaga outfit. And then he was asking me which ones I wanted, and I went down this rabbit hole of these kind of these websites that completely dissect everything, and it's kind of unbelievable, hats off levels of geekdom.
Oh, they even know
from me as the geekiest fashion person in the world. I was blown away by it.
They find out which bra she's wearing. I'm like, how the hell do you know it's from Target?
Yeah.
It's which is nice because it in a way
they appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, and maybe it inspires them, and or they want to start creating something, and I think that's an interesting thing. And if I can be a baby part of that, then I'm very grateful to do that in the world.
Encourage people, kind of nurture people.
And I always wanted to create different worlds, and I wanted people to dream. Originally, I wanted to do film, and I think that's what we do with. That's why I like to work. I prefer to work with musicians over actors, is because when you do a show, for 90 minutes or however long the set is, you can get someone to go away from their life, be in this world, dream, and enjoy the moment, and then you have to go back. But it's storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something transportative, and in a way, it's. I mean, people call it costuming, and it is costuming because it's about kind of changing emotions. And I guess it's, it's quite different to making someone look absolutely amazing. There's kind of different aims. You've got to look amazing, and there's kind of an extra level.
Yeah, and also sometimes tell a story. Fashion is political. It is storytelling. It is historical. There's so many references. Even you can say so much with it. That's the beauty of it. And everyone can interpret that in their own way, and that's even greater because someone could have a whole different idea of something, and then you're like, oh wow, I didn't even think of that. Like, oh, that gives me a click to think more about that certain thing.
Yeah. This is a bit of a difficult question, but I wanted to ask, how would you describe your own aesthetic, and what do you feel you kind of strive for in the looks that you create?
I get told a lot that my aesthetic is very dark, gothic, witchy. Sometimes I'm told to tone it down. But I think that's my aesthetic.
But it is weird because I've very much seen you do the flip side of that, where it's...
Yeah, I can do the perfect pop star.
Yeah.
But I'll put something in it to like give it a kick, even if no one sees it, just for me to have fun. I think that's my aesthetic. Yeah.
And I was going to ask you as the final question, how would you describe Belgian style?
Dark, gothic. I think it's very... I think in Belgium, we look at it, we underestimate it. I think other parts of the world, when they know that I'm from Belgium or from Antwerp, they go, oh, and it's like an enigma in a way. I think it's very visible to see what it is, but I cannot pinpoint a word to describe it. But I think, like, I just did ITS. It's in Trieste, where I went through 750 portfolios from students in 2 days. And I could see which ones...
You could see the Belgians.
...came from. I don't know what it is. That's something I can't describe. I think you would be better at describing that.
Well, we've run out of time, so no chance for me to do that today. But Tom, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone for being here. Thank you. Got an overthrow.
Yeah. Oh, we're done.
It was going reverse. It was going up.